My father repeated my sentence back to me, word for word, about a second after I said it, and he smiled. The patient smile you give a joke you didn't find funny. I'd said, "I think the heater's broken again," and he said it back. Same words, same tired tone, my tone. I laughed it off. He was 71. People that age repeat things. They reach for the last thing they heard. That's what I told myself the first night. By the second morning, I understood I had it backwards. He wasn't repeating after me. He was repeating before me. I'd moved back into the house I grew up in 3 weeks earlier. Nothing dramatic. A lease that ended. A job that didn't. My mother was away that week, visiting her sister. So it was just the two of us. Me, my father, and a house that creaked the way it always had. The repeating started small. I'd say I was going to make coffee, and a beat later he'd murmur it from the next room. At first it overlapped with mine, like a bad phone connection. Then at the exact same time. Then, and this is the part I kept rewinding, it started landing first. Wednesday night, I was at the sink. I opened my mouth to say, "I'm going up to bed." And from the doorway behind me, in his voice, I heard it. "I'm going up to bed." Before I'd made a sound, I turned around. He sat at the kitchen table, hands folded, watching me with that patient smile. "You didn't say anything almost," I told him. And he said it back at the exact moment I did, perfectly in sync, like he was reading off the same page, half a second early. I didn't sleep much that night. In the morning, I told myself I was tired. That stress could do strange things to how you hear people. Then I found the voicemail. My mother had left it 8 days earlier before I'd even arrived. I'd never listened. It was nothing, reminding my father to take his pills. But underneath her voice, faint in the background, I could hear him, repeating her. Half a second before she said it. This had been happening before I got here. It hadn't started with me. I started recording, just to hear it back when I was calm, to convince myself I was wrong. I left my phone running on the counter for 2 days. When I played it back, the repeating was there. But there was something else inside the recording, something I'd missed. Over those 2 days, his voice was changing. On the first day, he sounded like himself. Gravel, that slight flatness he'd had my whole life. By the last recording, the gravel was gone. The cadence had shifted. The little upward lift at the end of his questions, the way certain words got swallowed. He was starting to sound like me. And I realized the repeating was never the point. It was practice. He wasn't echoing me because he'd lost the thread. He was studying the thread, learning the exact shape of how I talk, so he could wear it. That night I set up the old baby monitor from the hall closet, the one with the little camera, the one they'd used on me 40 years ago. I put the camera in the hall, pointed at my bedroom door, and kept the monitor on the pillow beside me. At 2 a.m. I woke to my own voice. It was coming from the monitor. Soft, close. The way you talk to yourself when you're certain no one can hear. And it was saying things I hadn't said. Plans for the next day. A grocery list. A memory only I knew. I looked at the little screen. The camera showed the hall, and it showed my father standing outside my bedroom door, perfectly still, his mouth not moving at all, while my voice poured out of him, fluent and easy, like it had always been his. I'd been talking to him in the kitchen 10 minutes before. I was sure of it. I think I was sure of it. After that, it came fast. He stopped repeating altogether. He didn't need to. When I spoke to him, he answered in my voice. Not mockingly, not even strangely, naturally, warmly, the way I'd answer someone I loved. The last evening, my own phone rang. I picked it up and looked at the screen. The name on it was mine. I didn't answer. I just listened to it ring. And from down the hall, from my own bedroom, I heard the same ringtone. And then it stopped. Because someone in there had answered it. I stood in the hallway. The door to my room was open a few inches. The light was on behind it. And my voice, was talking to someone in a low, comfortable tone, saying my name, agreeing to things. I should have run. Instead, I did the only thing that still felt like mine. I opened my mouth to say, "Who is that?" And before I could make a sound, from the room, gentle, certain, already mine, the answer came. "It's just me. Go back to sleep." And the worst part, the part I can't get out of my head, is that I almost did. Because the voice was so familiar. Because it sounded exactly like the person I trust most. It sounded exactly like me.